One of the saddest things to have on television is when an actor dies in real life. Writers then either recast the character with a new actor or write the death of the character into the series. Most of the time they write the death in, but did you know it has happened quite a lot? Well, stay tuned to today's video as we discuss times an actor's death has been written into a series. The Blacklist. Clark Middleton, Glenn. In The Blacklist, one of the characters many people still remember to this day was the eccentric man who worked at the DMV, who of course was Glenn. Glenn was a character who would give a lot of personal access and information that Raymond found super useful. Therefore, Glenn was on Raymond's payroll on the Blacklist. He would hire Glenn to look up locations or provide information about someone Red was hunting down and needed to find. He was an integral part of the series and allowed for the flow of information to pass from the show to the audience so that they could understand what was going on and how the information led to conflict. Sadly enough, however, the actor who played Glenn, Clark Middleton, passed away in real life from West Nile virus. Rather than just recasting the actor, his death was written into the TV series, with Glenn passing away in the same way. They even dedicated an entire episode to Glenn, which even included a memorial service for him with all of the characters who knew him. His mother, Paula, would then become a new recurring character in the series. Both Glenn and Paula were also given the title of the best characters introduced to the Blacklist after the first season had come out. He is such an iconic character, and it's really sad to see such a great actor pass away as well. The Big Bang Theory, Carol Ann Susie, Mrs. Wolowitz. Another actor that sadly passed away was Carol Ann Susie. She played Debbie Wolowitz on The Big Bang Theory and was known to those in the series as Mrs. Wolowitz. She was Howard's mother, who was never seen in the series as most of the time her voice was used instead. Her loud and booming voice was often heard in the background of many episodes throughout its entire series run. She was usually yelling at the character and his friends to do something, like come rub her feet. She also tried to be overprotective of her son from afar, off-screen. When the actress suddenly died in real life, her death was written into the series. Mrs. Wolowitz was supposed to be visiting her sister in Florida when she sadly passed away in her sleep. An entire episode was then dedicated to the character and the actor's death after Howard and Bernadette move into her house to raise their children. Though she wasn't seen on screen, her voice was perfection for a character like Mrs. Wolowitz, and Carol Ann Susie helped keep the character alive. She was even one of the most likable secondary characters on The Big Bang Theory and is still known today for her booming voice. Will and Grace, Debbie Reynolds, Bobby Adler. One of the saddest deaths in television was Debbie Reynolds, who suddenly passed away just a week after her daughter Carrie Fisher had died. Her daughter was known for playing Princess Leia in the Star Wars franchise, but Debbie Reynolds had a recurring role in a sitcom as Grace's mother, Bobby Adler. When the revival of Will and Grace came around, Debbie Reynolds' death was written into the series retroactively. Rather than just saying that her mother had passed away and showing a full scene about it, it was noted in one episode that Grace's mother had passed away a while ago. This was during a joke where she said that her dying wish was for Grace to get some breast implants. It was a really funny joke to set up the character, but it was really sad to see a full scene not being dedicated to her, which we wish we could have seen more of Debbie Reynolds' impact from the series. But instead, it was just a tiny throwaway joke. Other shows that we have seen in today's video have put more effort into their actors' deaths, but it seems that Will and Grace didn't have the time to do so. Glee, Cory Monteith, Finn Hudson. Back in 2013, Cory Monteith sadly passed away at the young age of 31. Rather than his character in Glee being written off or stating that the character had moved away, the High School Musical series dedicated an entire episode to the character's death and his overall story. The premiere of the next season was actually supposed to come out, but instead, they delayed the release and instead decided to write his death into the story and for the character whom he played. An entire episode was written up by the name of The Quarterback and was dedicated in memory of Finn, who had suddenly died. The show didn't want to discuss the cause of death for the character, but they portrayed everything in such a heart-wrenching and thought-out way. Glee would also go on a short hiatus to allow the vast cast to grieve before returning to film the remaining episodes of that season. His death took a lot of people people by surprise, and affected the cast and the characters themselves in the series. It's still remembered today as one of the saddest television deaths, and one that was so sudden that literally no one had expected it. Glee was meant to be a happy high school musical type series, but instead it was hit by the death of one of its best actors. Riverdale, Luke Perry, Fred Andrews. Another death that completely took the world by surprise and changed up the series that he was on was the sudden death of Luke Perry. Though he had recently been starring on Riverdale as Fred Andrews, Luke Perry was best known for his role as Dylan McKay in the 90s hit sitcom Beverly Hills 90210. Today's generation might remember him as being Fred Andrews, but the vast majority of people remember him for his biggest role in 90210. He played a role in Riverdale, and he was still filming at the time of his death. This meant that his character had to be written into the series as dying. As Fred Andrews was an integral part of Archie Andrews' character, he served as the sole parent for Archie while his mom pursued her career in a different state. The death was handled perfectly in the series and was done in a touching manner that paid tribute to both his notable roles. In the episode, we got to see one of his most famous castmates make a cameo from 90210. As a woman who stopped him to help him on the side of the road, his death was actually by a hit and run in the series, and he remains one of the several characters on Riverdale who left way too soon. His character's death severely affected the series, as Archie would completely change from this part forward. He had minimal parental figures in his life. Even with his mom being around more, this meant that Archie could do anything that he wanted with no repercussions, changing his character forever. Family Guy, Adam West. Adam West. One of the biggest celebrity deaths in recent times was the sad death of Adam West. He was most notably known for playing Batman in the early Batman television series, but one of his most recent roles was his recurring role in Family Guy. His voice was so iconic that Family Guy wanted to put him into the series. Rather than making up a character for him, Adam West would play himself as the mayor of Quahog. When his death was announced to the world, he was still playing Adam West on Family Guy, meaning they had to do something with the character. An episode was released months later by the name of Adam West High, and it made it known to everyone that the character had died in the same way that the actor died in real life. His final appearance was in the 17th season of Family Guy, and his role was reprised by his cousin in the series. It's another sad death, but it's awesome to see a show pay that respect to death of a phenomenal actor.
It'll be a home run.
And that's all we have from today's video about actors who died in real life and how they wrote them into the series that way. It's great to see a character not just be recast in a series, as dealing with the death in the series and making some sort of mark is so much more respectful. The only times a character should be recast is if they are the main character of the series and if the character needs to go on without them. Many shows have done recasting in the past, but we think this series should accept the death of the actor and just write it into the series. And that's the end of today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed this latest video. If you did, would you please let us know in the comment section below? It would be very helpful. Make sure to like the video, comment down below, and of course, subscribe to the channel with the notification bell rung. Thank you for watching today's video. Bye.